Welcome to The World in Social. I'm Chris Rieger with your look at the week in social media news, thanks to our podcast partner Social News Desk, powering social media for over 1,500 newsrooms on 5 continents. Find out more at socialnewsdesk.com. Coming up in this edition, camera stories direct. Facebook gets all Snapchatty. United reassures passengers their leggings are safe. Twitter gives us more room for replies. What the? Man with a kangaroo on a leash has the internet hopping mad. Social scorecard, radio's top posts for the week. And later in the podcast, my special guest Kim Kleinen, former ABC Mackay Mornings host, who was right in the thick of Cyclone Debbie. She describes the moment the storm hit and how social media played an important role before and after. But first, it's been a big week for Facebook. Earlier this week, it rolled out a new inbuilt camera for the mobile app with effects and 2 additional ways to share content. iOS and Android users can now tap on the camera icon or swipe right from Newsfeed to launch the camera, which comes packed with dozens of effects like masks, frames and interactive filters that you can apply to your photos and videos. To set itself apart from Snapchat and Instagram, it's partnered with brands to create masks for upcoming movies Alien Covenant, Despicable Me 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Power Rangers, Smurfs, The Lost Village and Wonder Woman. The updated app also includes Facebook Stories, which it began rolling out to more countries earlier this month. And you can now share your content with Direct, an option designed for sharing photos and videos with specific friends for a limited time. Over the coming months, Facebook says it also plans to allow users to create their own frames and effects. Meantime, the social network appears to be looking for new ways to engage its users by testing out a second news feed. Several Facebook users have taken to Twitter in recent weeks wondering what the mystery rocket icon was appearing on their home screen above or below their news feed. A mystery no more. This is Facebook's way of presenting a complimentary feed of popular articles, videos and photos customised for you based on content that might be interesting to you. In other words, stuff Facebook thinks you're likely to like based on other stuff that you've liked. The test is underway now in markets worldwide. United Airlines released a statement this week following a row over leggings of all things. The story blew up last weekend when the airline apparently prevented 2 girls from boarding a flight because they were violating a dress code. The story was picked up on social media by Shannon Watts, founder of Mums Demand Action, a grassroots army working to end gun violence in America. With nearly 35,000 followers, the story quickly picked up steam and also caught the attention of some big-name celebs who chimed in. As it played out live on Twitter, rival Delta quickly saw an opportunity to promote itself as leggings-friendly. After bouncing tweets backwards and forwards with Shannon, United later confirmed the girls were pass travellers, a company benefit that allows employees and their dependents to travel for free on a standby basis. Pass travellers are subject to a different dress code as they're seen as representatives of the airline. For the record, United says passengers wearing leggings are welcome. Twitter has rolled out an update to give users more room for replies. It follows an update back in September last year where photos, videos, GIFs, polls and quote tweets no longer counted towards your 140 characters. So now when you reply to someone or a group, those @usernames won't count toward your tweet's 140 characters. Who you're replying to will appear above the tweet text rather than within the tweet text itself. They feel it gives you more room to have conversations. When reading a conversation, you'll actually see what people are saying rather than seeing lots of @usernames at the start of a tweet. Social media exploded this week over a demeaning Daily Mail headline that read, "Never mind Brexit, who one-legs-it?" accompanied by a photo of UK's Prime Minister Theresa May and Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. The photo was taken just before a meeting in Glasgow, and it didn't take long for the backlash on social. Hello Daily Mail 1972 called. They want their casually sexist and demeaning front page headline back, wrote one user. Yes, this really is the cover of the @Daily Mail UK tomorrow. Yes, it is 2017. Yes, we should denounce it loudly, wrote another. The headline appeared to be only on the print version of the Daily Mail, with their website taking a different tone, focusing on the body language between the two. It was the video that had everyone on social media asking, what the? A man seen chasing after a kangaroo on a leash, not a typical sight for locals in Detroit who took to social media to share a Snapchat video. As it turns out, the guy seen chasing the roo is Javon Stacks, who owns the travelling exotic zoo in Detroit. He told local radio station Hot 105.7 the drama unfolded at a birthday party.
When I went outside, we did the birthday party in our home.
Okay.
We brought like 13 animals to the show. But the kangaroo, the birthday girl wanted to see the kangaroo hop.
Okay.
So with that being said, I can't let it hop around in your living room. It's not enough space. So I said, hey, let's all go outside. All the little birthday kids, we all went outside. Let the little birthday girl see it hop.
Right.
She was able to see the kangaroo hop, and that made my day.
Was well.
And someone was riding by, and whoever the girl was, she was riding by and filmed it. And to her, I'm not, I wouldn't be upset at her because I would probably think the same thing. Like
this is random.
Yeah, if somebody's riding by, you see somebody walking a kangaroo, German Shepherd or Rottweiler, Pit Bull, anything, but
not a roo.
Yeah, the kangaroo. Yeah.
So what happened when one of the kids say, "I want to see the tiger run"?
Man, they got to go watch that on.
The audio thanks to Hot 105.7's The Morning Heat. Time now to catch up with Jake Challenor from radiotoday.com.au for the social scorecard, a look at radio's top social posts from the week. And Jake, another big week in radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably making headlines, the most amount of headlines this week was Kyle Sandilands for us, no doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I worked with Kyle back in 1996 when he was Captain Kyle doing breakfast on 4CC in Gladstone. And he was very passionate about where he wanted to go and where he wanted to be. In fact, he sort of based his whole career around wanting to be the next Jamie Dunn. I think in many ways he probably became a little bigger than Jamie in radio terms anyway. So I wasn't. I was a little disappointed at this big reveal that he had Thursday. To be honest, I thought I was expecting something much more exciting, and it turned out to be a little bit of a fizzer.
It was a little bit of a fizzer. I think as you would expect, the lawyers got involved at ARN and watered the whole process down the day before it went to air. So I hear from sources. It certainly wasn't the explosive 5 minutes of radio that I think most of us were hoping for.
He did have a little bit of a point though with the trickery. We've seen it go on in radio before, so whether that has any effect on how the others do their competitions in future remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, look, we'll see. I think most of the stations have, changed their practices over the last, 5 or so years. But trickery still goes on. It's a cutthroat business. So I'm sure some of it will continue.
No doubt. All right. Radio's top social posts this week. Speaking of Kyle and Jackie O, they make the top 3.
Yeah. They do. Kyle and Jack are back. I think it's their second or third week in a row. You've got to give it to them. They certainly know how to make headlines and bring that onto social. They put out a great piece of content this week, which was the Pap Reveals pick prices. They spoke to a paparazzi to find out what they were worth, they being Kyle and Jackie O, to the glossy mags and the tabloids. Jackie, I don't think she was that rapt at how little she was going for, a couple of $100, but it was a really great piece of content and got a huge reaction. So it was a good piece.
And they obviously used some images which you didn't hear in the radio bit, where they've superimposed some images on top of the video as well, which is good to see. At number 2, who have we got at number 2 this week?
Number 2 this week is Heidi, Will and Woody from Hit 92.9 in Perth, who received a very expensive $1,200 watch, which was addressed to one of their competitors. So rather than passing that watch on, they decided to throw it out to their audience and see what they think that they should do with it. It ended up being thrown into the river. And it was all caught on camera and made for a great piece of content, which went up last night.
I wonder how the opposition felt about that.
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll find out, I'm sure.
And at number 1 this week?
Yeah, number 1 this week, still with the Hit Network, is Ash London, who, of course, hosts the night show Ash London Live across SEA's Hit Network. She's really, she's got such a great personality. So anything she does, it's so easy to connect with it. But she's really creative, and her team's super creative with how they approach social. They're always trying new things. And Ash put out a great video, which really just talked about 2 of her favourite artists collaborating, teasing that song for that night's show. But it was a great piece of content. I think social media was made for Ash London because she's got such a big, bubbly personality, and she's a brilliant storyteller, and it's so easy to connect with her that pretty much whatever she does on social really cuts through. So It was a great piece of content from her this week.
Another honourable mention, we'll stick with the Hit Network. Something I saw this morning, they were doing a live stream promoting their R&B Fridays where they were doing an interview and a Q&A with Maya, which went out on Periscope and then also on Facebook as well. So that was a good use of social there from the Hit Network. Jake, we'll catch you again next week for the Social Scorecard.
The World in Social, thanks to Social News Desk, powering social media for over 1,500 newsrooms on 5 continents. Find out more at socialnewsdesk.com.
Cyclone Debbie was a big trender on social media this week as the storm picked up steam and headed toward the North Queensland coast. As it crossed the Whitsundays, she was packing winds of up to 260 k's an hour, and her effects are still being felt with rainfall and flooding from the Sunshine Coast down to northern New South Wales. In the thick of it was Kim Clyden, former ABC Mackay Mornings host, now storyteller and communications consultant. Kim, welcome to The World in Social. Can you describe what it was like?
Well, it's one of those things. It's not the first time we've been through a cyclone. We had a Louis come through in 2010 when I was actually working at the radio station, and we were without power for 8 days following that. And whilst the damage was sort of similar, I suppose, we had about a similar amount of trees down. This system lasted longer and covered a much bigger area. In fact, it's covered such a large area, I think people find it difficult to understand just how we were affected by it. It all started Monday afternoon when we got storms. So Debbie was carrying storms on either side of her, so we were sandwiched by electrical storms from Monday afternoon. The cyclone eye itself didn't cross until Tuesday afternoon, so she was actually intensifying on a very warm ocean of about 29 degrees for more than 48 hours in her build-up. So that's why I suppose it was so intense at a high category or like 4.5, sort of heading to a 5 before she crossed over around Airlie Beach. And all the while, we'd been expecting it further north, so our hours of preparation were right down to the wire. And in fact, we were taping the windows Monday night because we sort of left a lot of that sort of thing to the last minute because we thought it was going to cross a lot further north. Mind you, it battered a sort of an area of a couple of hundred kilometres along the coast.
Now, just to paint a bit of a picture, you're on a property a little outside Mackay, aren't you?
Yes, a little bit further north. So we're not far from Cape Hillsborough and Seaforth, which were mentioned in the final bulletins when she moved south of Bowen, not north of Bowen, and was then crossing Hamilton Island and into Airlie Beach. So we're only about 100 kilometres from there. 80 k's on a coastal sort of flyover. Hamilton Island is probably closer to us by sea than Airlie Beach is by road. So proximity-wise on the coastal sort of range, yeah, we're quite close to the action, and we're on a property, luckily, our house sits down between two hills that are about 100 metres above sea level, so we weren't really at threat of any inundation. However, we copped the battering of the winds, and we've got lots of trees on our property, so they shed, and the biggest risk to our property and our animal shelters and fencing were the trees that were coming down and the massive limbs that were snapping off everywhere. So we were confronted by quite a war zone on Wednesday morning.
I know you've got some goats. How did they fare up?
Surprisingly well. They were so resilient. I mean, they came from Cyclone Marsha. When she crossed Middle Percy Island, they'd been experiencing that. So that would have maybe been one of the first cyclones a lot of them had seen in their life. So they had been a little bit pre-prepped, I suppose you could call it, before we got them. So they bore up very well. I mean, their shelters came down and they just huddled in areas they could find within those shelters. We were surprised there was no one damaged or killed, actually, because we had trees falling down on their shelters and their fencing. They all stayed put, and they tended just to huddle together wherever they could find some reprieve from the wind and the rain, and it was torrential through some of it.
So I guess at the height of Debbie, is it pretty much find somewhere to take shelter and pretty much just hope for the best?
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean, you can be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. That's really our biggest motto here in North Queensland is, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And just bunker down, have a plan, really. I mean, we had to think about what were we going to do, where would we store everything in a room in case things did go, south. we thought, well, we need to get into the bathroom. So we prepared in there with some cushions and candles, and just so that we could take all the animals into a safe part of the room, not the goats, just our dogs. and just settle in, with our beer, because that's what we do here. We sort of sit down and we have a few drinks and we watch what's going on to a degree. And then, we just basically need to stay as safe as we can and stay inside. So we didn't leave the house for more than 24 hours.
Now, it was obviously something that was huge on social media, and hashtag Cyclone Debbie was trending for a couple of days there. How has social media changed how people get information in extreme weather events like Debbie?
I'm just annoyed that I was actually hashtagging TC Debbie and then FTC because it was a severe tropical cyclone. I didn't know it was hashtag Cyclone Debbie. Anyway,
I think there are a few going around.
The best information I could get. We spent a lot of time on Facebook, and you as a friend of mine there would know that I was posting photos and video of the wind and the sound and the damage and the rain. Whatever I could sort of do to convey how the intensity of the wind was picking up. So, and so was everyone else. So we were getting a lot of information as it happened along the coast. So we've got an extensive network through the Whitsundays and the Mackay region. Everyone was experiencing it in a similar way, but slightly different depending on whether they're in the town or on property. And I found that I was getting most of my information there until we lost power Monday night. Tuesday we still had access to the mobile network, so we were still getting signal and I could still upload content. And then that all stopped Tuesday night. We just lost everything, and so we've just been in this blackout until I've driven to town today, and I'm now updating social media where I'm still getting better information than things like your traditional avenues, which are like the radio stations. They used to provide all of our information. Now they're directing us to their website and their Facebook page. And I'm like, well, thank you very much, but I don't have access to that at the moment.
Yeah, that's handy when you've got no power or mobile phone reception. So how's, a couple of days later, what's the situation around Mackay like now?
I tell you, yesterday I went out to get fuel because I didn't have it in my car, and I wanted to go to my daughter's for a shower. She's got a generator on her property out there at Morani. They're in a similar situation, so people throughout a widespread area outside of the centre of town, so anywhere with 20 kilometres or more outside of those city areas, people have no power, no water, no electricity, no phones, no connectivity. And so when I went out to Marion, there was one service station open. It was one of three in an entire region. I'd been to two other servos that didn't have fuel or were refuelling their fuel stocks. So it's pretty desperate. We've heard of looting in areas around Bowen. They've got patrols going through the streets. But even in Habana, a farmer, I was just told today, caught people there at 3 a.m. He chased them down. He's 70-odd years old. He pulled them up, and I think he might have held a bit of a firearm at them, but they were stealing his diesel from his property where, most farmers will have some sort of storage facility for diesel for their machinery and their vehicles. But, there's some really poor displays of human behaviour occurring here at the moment, and people are just desperate for fuel, water, batteries. I went into BCF today, and they're on there, all their staff in darkness, no power, doing cash sales only, but trying to give people what they can so that they can camp in their homes for another week.
We certainly see the best and worst in people during extreme weather events like this, don't we?
Yeah, and I've seen the best as well as, those stories of the worst. I'm hoping that we don't get impacted by the worst because I think more of people than that. And yesterday I saw groups of people in all of our country communities banding together. You could see them with their families, all different age groups, helping each other out, removing trees, removing debris, and just pulling together. And I've heard a lot of those great stories where, people haven't had the SES come to everybody. People haven't had Ergon out removing trees from their driveways and their power lines. They've been neighbours banding together and doing it themselves.
And finally, Kim, when are you hearing that things are likely to, if we can say, get back to normal?
Well, at this stage, I know the crews are still trying to deploy to Proserpine and Airlie Beach, so they've had trouble getting through. So there's been a heap of trucks sitting in our showgrounds here in Mackay waiting to be deployed. I was wondering why they weren't actually out around our area. That would have been helpful. But anyway, besides that, we're hearing a week before power will be restored to the outlying areas. There's some pretty bad network damage. We've got power lines down. We've got infrastructure down in those bush areas. So, yeah, another week perhaps. Not sure about Telstra when they're going to get their act together, but it'd be greatly appreciated if we could go and fuel a generator or something and get our connectivity back up. That'd be great.
Kim, I know you've got a lot to do, so I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me on The World in Social, and thanks for the updates as well. It's good to know that you're safe.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
And that's all for this edition of The World in Social. You can keep up to date online at theworldinsocial.com, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Chris Rieger. Join me next week as we explore the world in social media thanks to Social News Desk, powering social media for over 1,500 newsrooms on 5 continents. Find out more at socialnewsdesk.com.